Just how high is too high to rank Tyler Soderstrom? Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Wednesday, April 16th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Today on the show, we had some big performances from the Tylers, Mahle and Soderstrom. Matt Shaw was optioned back to AAA. Have some confusing pitchers to talk about, and it's time for our first worryometer of the season. Before we get started, forgot to mention this last night, but it was Jackie Robinson Day across baseball. Always great to honor Jackie, who he was as a player, and even more so as a person, what he did both in baseball and in society, obviously paving the way for so many great players and people who came after him. So always great to see the 42s across baseball, hear the great stories, and obviously like watching.
I got my cap on.
Watching the Dodger game now. Yeah, they're rocking the Brooklyn Dodgers hat too. So it's always a great day and happy that they do that.
And if you ever get a chance, if you're ever in New York City, the Jackie Robinson Museum is in Lower Manhattan. It's near like Little Italy in Chinatown over by the Holland Tunnel. Really nice way to spend a couple of hours if you're a baseball fan. Learn a lot about what made him such a special and important person.
All right, with that, let's get into it.
Oh, my goodness. Holy cow. Do you believe it?
All right, Chris, you are up first. Which Tyler do you want to talk about?
I'll take Mahle. I'll take Tyler Mahle, who it's one of those things where it's like, I want to ask how he's getting away with this, except that's not even the right question, because how is he dominating like this? And it's really just with the fastball. He had 11 of his 18 swinging strikes in a 9 strikeout game with his four-seamer, which averages 92 miles per hour. Like, that's weird, because usually, like, it's not that weird to see a pitcher with a low 90s fastball still be really good, right? Shodi Managa and Sean Manaea last year and Bailey Ober, and like that, there are very good, Aaron Nola, very good pitchers who throw average 92 miles per hour at their fastballs. But think of all those guys. Shodi Managa's got the splitter. Sean Manaea's got the slider. Aaron Nola's got his curveball. Bailey Ober's changeup. Like, these guys all have other really good pitches. And in Tyler Mahle's case, at least so far, it's just the four-seamer, which has let me make sure I get this number correct, 41% swinging strike rate, 41% whiff rate. So whiffs divided by swings, 41% whiff rate with his four-seamer this season. There was only one pitcher who threw at least 100 pitches last season who had a higher whiff rate on their four-seamer last year. And that was Mason Montgomery, who threw 9 2/3 innings and averaged 97 miles per hour with his four-seamer. Everyone else, like, there was a couple guys in like the 37%, 38% range. Tyler Mahle's like blowing the field away, and it's got good shape. 19 inches of induced vertical break. That's really good. He throws from a relatively low slot. Like, he's got the movement profile, and it's been a good pitch for him in the past. 28% whiff rate last season. Like, it's not a bad pitch by any means, but this dominant when he was 121st in four-seamer velocity entering today, I don't want to say it's a fluke, but I don't really buy it either. And part of that is just the injury history, right? Mahle has been, I don't think he's thrown more than 125 innings since 2021 or 2019, whatever that really good year was. And so I'm having trouble buying in, but he's 57% rostered right now. So it doesn't really matter if I'm skeptical. There aren't, we had a handful of really impressive pitching performances from low roster rate guys early on, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit, right? Like, the last week or so, there haven't really been a ton of, wow, I have to add that guy at starting pitcher. And I think Tyler Mahle is someone that you should add in all leagues after these last couple of showings. I'm not sure he's going to be a must-start guy moving forward. But I'll say must roster right now, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. 57% rostered for Tyler Mahle. The last 3 starts for him, 18 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 1 run, 5 walks, 18 strikeouts for Tyler Mahle. And I will fully admit, last week when Scott brought him up as a player of the night, I'm like, what are we doing talking about Tyler Mahle? I didn't say that out loud, but I thought it in my head. Maybe Scott was right. I don't know, like Tyler Mahle.
No, I had the same, like, because it was like, what, 4 strikeouts in 7 innings last time around?
Yeah. I mean, it was a 7-inning performance,
yeah.
but yeah, the strikeouts weren't great. This one was much different. I mean, 9 strikeouts, 18 whiffs, 11 of those on the fastball. And yeah, I pulled up his profile on pitcherlist.com just to kind of see what's going on here. The fastball does have some good characteristics for sure. 79th percentile in induced horizontal break, 81st percentile in induced vertical break, 85th percentile in vertical approach angles. So those are things that would contribute to a good shape on a fastball. So we know that about Tyler Mahle. I don't know exactly how we get to the point on these other pitches, but PLV is an all-encompassing metric that they use on Pitcher List. Tyler Mahle's splitter ranks 94th percentile. His slider ranks 94th percentile.
Yeah, I do want to, like,
cutter ranks 99th percentile.
I focused on the 4-seamer, but the splitter in particular has been a very good pitch for him. I don't know about the cutter and slider.
It's also a really small sample size.
Yeah, small sample sizes. I don't buy those being great pitches, but the splitter, you know, I think it was like a 28% whiff rate last season. Good results on balls in play.
It was good in this start too.
Yeah, so yeah, he got 5 whiffs with it in this start as well. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just the 4-seamer, but the 4-seamer is the biggest reason why Tyler Mahle's finding success right now. I don't know. Like last year among starting pitchers who averaged 91 to 93 miles per hour with their 4-seamer, there were 11 of them. Lance Lynn had the highest whiff rate with his 4-seamer at 28%. So, you know, this could be a really good pitch for him. I'm still not sure it's going to be, you know, anything like what we've seen so far. I would bet against certainly a 40% whiff rate on that pitch moving forward. That is, I think Ryan Pepio might have had the highest among starters last year at like 34%. It's just really hard to live in that range consistently.
Yeah. And even if you don't completely buy it, which I'm kind of there with you, this is someone that you just pick up in case this is real. And you figure it out later. Like, okay, if it all falls apart or he gets hurt, all right, you drop him.
Yep.
But
no
if
reason.
It turns out that, all right, this is just who Tyler Mahle is all of a sudden, then, all right, you might have a breakout pitcher on your hands. So some pitchers who are rostered in more leagues than Mahle that I would drop him for, I would drop like let's see, Luis Severino, 60%, Michael Watkins, 70%.
Charlie Morton, I believe, is still 57% rostered. Or at least he was entering today. Him and Mahle had the same roster rate. One, I think Tyler Mahle should be closer to 100. Yeah. 2, I think Charlie Morton should be closer to 0% rostered.
Yeah, agreed. So Morton, Severino, Waka.
Yeah, easy drop on all those guys, yeah.
Like Justin Verlander.
I would drop Walker Buehler for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tanner Houck is still 78%.
Absolutely drop Tanner Houck for him, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of scrolling up and down, trying to find more names, and we get into actually, yeah. Let's leave it off there for now. But yeah, like Walker Buehler's 82% roster, Mitch Keller's 82%. Yeah, like I would drop all those guys for Tyler Mahle, and let's see what happens here. Let's talk about Tyler Soderstrom, who crushed the White Sox here. Actually, the A's altogether crushed the White Sox. 12 runs on 13 hits, but Soderstrom did a lot of that damage. 3 for 5 with a double dong, 6 RBI in this game. Leads baseball with 8 home runs early on in the season, batting .328 with an 1137 OPS. Plate discipline looks really good so far. It's 8 walks to 13 strikeouts. That's an 18% strikeout rate. Hitting the ball really hard. It was a 92.8 average exit velocity, 17% barrel rate entering this game. So that those 2 numbers are only going to go up. And we saw a little bit of this last year where the plate discipline wasn't terrible for Soderstrom.
Yeah.
As prospect pedigree. He hit the ball hard last year. Now he just really needed an opportunity to play every day. He has that, and he's running with it. So off to a great start. one of the biggest surprises so far this season. The question is, how high can we get Tyler Soderstrom in the rankings? I had somebody tweet at me earlier and say Scott moved him up to 10th in his first base rankings.
So Mike, here's my question. Does he have like Salvador Perez and Wilson Contreras ahead of him?
Sal Perez, yes. I don't think he added Wilson Contreras to first base yet.
Okay, because I moved Tyler Soderstrom up to 14th. That does include Salvador Perez and Wilson Contreras. You can throw them out, and he's the 12th catcher or first baseman. I still have Tristan Casas and Vinny Pasquantino ahead, but I don't have a ton to go off there, right? Like
the Casas one, I think is harder to defend.
Well,
not that Vinny P has great upside, but he had a
really good
season last year.
But we have seen a better stretch from Tristan Casas than we ever have from Vinny Pasquantino. Tristan Casas' second half of 2023, I think, is better than anything Vinny Pasquantino's done. It's certainly more sustained success than Tyler Soderstrom's current production. It is also a year plus ago, and Tristan Casas hasn't shown any kind of upside since then. So I'm open to I'm too high on Tristan Casas and Vinny Pasquantino, that I'm giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt for, Casas being, pretty far removed from his upside, and Pasquantino just maybe not having that much upside. I would still I wouldn't drop either of those guys. I wouldn't trade them for Tyler Soderstrom, but I'd rather have Soderstrom in my lineup right now. And
100%.
Here's the thing, like you mentioned, he was up last season. He didn't play a full season or anything close to it, but he did have a 344 expected WOBA at the major league level, which is a far cry from what he's doing right now. He entered today with a 444 WOBA. I'm going to guess that's going up quite a bit after a 2-homer game.
Yeah.
But a 348 expected WOBA last season. You look at last season, and that is right around where Pete Alonso is. In terms of expected WOBA, it's right around where, say, Suzuki, Teoscar Hernandez, those feel like reasonable comps. Say Suzuki, obviously a little more athletic, but the combination of plate discipline and power for Teoscar Hernandez and Seiya Suzuki and even Pete Alonso in a down year, I can see that being the case for Tyler Soderstrom. And that's assuming a lot of regression from where he's at right now.
Yeah. I'm still looking at the rankings here, trying to figure out where I'm going to slot him in. I think probably at 12, right behind Vinny P and Casas, but like you said, you absolutely should be starting him ahead of those names right now, and probably should be starting him ahead of Christian Walker and Cody Bellinger and those guys too.
Jake Berger, Cody, yeah.
Those names are much more proven.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we're 3 weeks into the season almost. Anything can happen. It could turn out, okay, Soderstrom is the next Meadows Pete Alonso type, and that's how we'll be ranking him this time next year or whatever it might be. But it's still so early that we can't say that definitively. So I'm going to probably push him up closer to the top 12 at first base, but I'm not going to go overboard moving too high just yet. If you have Soderstrom on your team, obviously you should feel great about that right now. Want to talk about one of his teammates real quick, Shea Langeliers, who also had a big game here, 3 for 5 with his 4th home run, 3 hard hits in this game. He hit a double, 114.5 miles per hour off the bat, and he's hitting 250. He's got 4 home runs, 862 OPS early on. The plate discipline for Shea Langeliers, 8 strikeouts, 8 walks to 7 strikeouts so far. More walks than strikeouts, an 11% strikeout rate, whereas in his career, it's 28%. So I don't think that's going to last, but it's kind of intriguing early on that the plate discipline is so improved. For Shea Langeliers, still hitting the ball really hard. His ground ball rate is way too high right now. So I do think some of those things will kind of even out here. Maybe strikeouts go up, fly balls go up, and that'll affect his batting average. But I think one thing we know about Langeliers, the power is absolutely legit for him. Wanted to also just give oh my goodness gracious, shout out to Alex Bregman, who posted the first 5-hit game of his career, 5 for 5 with a double dong, 4 RBI in this one. How about this, Chris? Both home runs to the opposite field for Alex Bregman. Who is this guy, right? Like, that's something we never see. Well, maybe playing in George Steinbrenner Field helped out a little bit, right? That kind of short porch, although he hit it more to like the power alleys. So I don't know. I think just impressive home runs here.
Yeah, let's see.
Alex Bregman, who
neither was 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
One of them would only have been out at Yankee Stadium and Steinbrenner.
Okay.
The other one was 18 of 30 parks, so can't say they were both total flukes, but yeah, that sounds about right.
I wanted to mention the average exit velocity for Bregman entering this game, 93.4 miles per hour.
That's wild.
He is locked in early on, and despite hitting the home run to the opposite field, had a career-high 55% pull rate entering this game. So he got the memo. What he needs to be doing playing in Fenway Park is pulling the ball, hitting it hard, and I think really good things can happen this upcoming season for Alex Bregman. Before we hit our first break, just a reminder that you can listen to FBT and FBT Express on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, you can scan the QR code that will take you right to the FBT feed on Spotify. And if you're watching us live, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's take a break and we'll hit the news and notes right after this quick commercial break.
She knows, and I know she knows.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Let's talk some news and notes, and we got some big news here on Tuesday. Matt Shaw optioned back to AAA after hitting 172 with 1 homer over his first 18 games of the season. Plate discipline actually was very solid early on, but he is just not squaring the ball up at all. The quality of contact was terrible. 76% rostered for Matt Shaw. Chris, is this an auto drop? Do you hold in certain leagues? What do you think?
I lean towards dropping pretty much everywhere. It wouldn't surprise me if he's back up sometime in May, maybe even early May, if he gets off to a good start at AAA. But yeah, I think, like you said, the plate discipline wasn't terrible. I feel like that was probably more about him just not swinging very much and just being passive, which is I think a sign of a player who's probably a little overmatched. 59.5% zone swing rate. That's well below average. It's about 8 percentage points below average. Chase rate right around average. So not even necessarily making great swing decisions. He was just not swinging very much at all. I still think he's a super talented player. I still think there's plenty of upside. And if he hadn't gotten hurt, I would probably still be holding on to Matt Shaw. But because he's gotten sent down now, I think it's totally fine to drop him in most 12-team leagues.
I think that's fair. 12-team points leagues for sure. It's just like the waiver wire in those leagues. You can find some really great hitters. 12-team roto or deeper, I might try to hold on there for a little bit. If you need the bench spot at some point, I totally get it. In some of those deeper leagues, 15-team roto, NL only, obviously, I do think he's a hold in leagues that deep. And if he hits well in AAA, then could be back. And obviously it's a really good lineup with the Cubs and there's power and there's speed. So this kind of just checks out with everything we've said about prospects the past couple of years. It's like the first go around, there usually is struggles. It takes some time, even with some of the biggest names in baseball. Like last year, it took Churio 2 months to get going. And then he became
White Langford 5 months.
Yeah. And then Churio became one of the best hitters in baseball. I mean, same thing with Jackson Merrill. It took him 2 months to kind of find that power stroke as well. So wouldn't surprise me if Matt Shaw makes an impact at some point this season. It just won't be right now. The Cubs started Gage Workman at third base on Tuesday against a right-handed pitcher. Looks like Justin Turner will stay in that short side platoon role. Workman last year in Double-A hit 280 with 18 home runs, 30 steals, and 843 OPS. NL only, I think he's a name you look at. Gage Workman, anything shallower, probably not. Bobby Miller is expected to be called up to start Wednesday against the Rockies. He has made 3 appearances at AAA, a 2.25 ERA, but a 142 whip, 11 strikeouts to 11 walks over 12 innings. I just have no idea, Chris. This is such a far cry from the pitcher we saw 2 years ago. I don't know what to expect, but if you're in a deep league and you have a roster spot to mess with, I think there are worse things you can do than take a flyer on Bobby Miller.
I mean, this was the breakout pitcher last year.
Oh, he was
a top 100 pick, top 30 starting pitcher in everyone's rankings. Was off the charts on every stuff model, and the stuff model still liked him even after the shoulder injury. Part of me thinks he's just not healthy, and that's why he was so bad last year and has 11 walks and 12 anything. This is total blind faith, but blind faith can pay off at times. And look, is this the third straight spot starter for the Dodgers? No, fourth. Right? Wasn't it Knack? I'm completely blanking on that. I'm thinking of the Pirates guy, but it's not him.
Like
they've
Justin Robleski was in there.
Robleski was one of them, and there was another one, right? Before Robleski?
There might have been.
So yeah, there's room in the Dodgers rotation if someone wants to take it. My guess is Bobby Miller will be bad, and we'll see Gavin Stone in probably a week or two, maybe 8 days, because I think he pitched a couple days ago.
Tony Gonsolin, you mean?
Tony Gonsolin, that's the one.
Gavin Stone's out for the year.
Yeah, Gavin Stone is out for the year. The Dodgers have too many pitchers, man. Clayton Kershaw is back pitching in AAA this week. I don't know how we keep all these together, but yeah, Gonsolin's who I meant. He looked good in his most recent start. He only pitched like 58 pitches, so he probably still needs another start or two. But there's an opportunity for someone to step up for the Dodgers, because this happens every year with the Dodgers. Every year, it's like, oh, the Dodgers have so many pitchers. The Dodgers have too many pitchers. What's going to happen when everyone's healthy? And it's like they're not all going to be healthy at the same time. This is just what happens with the Dodgers.
The Brewers recalled Logan Henderson from AAA. Sounds like he'll join their rotation at some point soon. 19 starts in the minors last year, 3.32 ERA, 0.91 whip, 11.5 K per nine with a 15% swinging strike rate. I think this is a pretty interesting prospect as well. Who would you rather, deep league spec add, Logan Henderson or Bobby Miller?
Henderson. Miller look, Henderson has had, I think, 6 walks per nine in his first 3 starts. So control has not been there for him at AAA either, but that's better than 8.4 or whatever Bobby Miller's walks per nine is. But Henderson is a legitimately interesting prospect. He's a top 100 guy for Fangraphs. I think the other prospect lists have him outside of the top 100. I know Baseball Prospectus had him like 14th for the Brewers, but he's got a really good fastball, kind of that, a lot of what we were talking about with Tyler Mahle, where he throws it from a low slot and he gets good IVB on it, and changeup is supposed to be really, really good. He added a curveball this spring to go along with a cutter that fills out his arsenal. I'm pretty interested to see what Logan Henderson can do here if he does get a start.
All right, we got a Ronald Acuna update. He was cleared to ramp up activity and begin progressing towards a rehab assignment. Sounds like he still could be ready to go by mid-May. Ketel Marte took live batting practice Tuesday. He's on the IL with that hamstring strain. Wyatt Langford swung a bat Tuesday for the first time since being placed in the IL last week. He's currently out with a right oblique strain. The Reds activated Matt McClain, Austin Hayes, and Alexis Diaz on Tuesday. Terry Francona said Emilio Pagan will continue to serve as the team's primary closer for now. Noelvi Marte was returned to AAA. Alexis Diaz actually made an appearance Tuesday. He entered in the 6th inning. Unsurprisingly, he walked 2 batters, but he also recorded 2 outs in his first appearance. Carlos Correa was removed Tuesday night with left wrist soreness. Thankfully, no foot or ankle injury, so that's, I guess, the good news. Zach Eflin's right lat strain is very mild, and his return is measured more in weeks than months. Tyler Stevenson could begin a rehab assignment in 1 week. He's on the IL with a left oblique strain. Ryan Weathers threw a bullpen on Tuesday. He's on the IL with that flexor strain. Trevor McGill was available to pitch on Tuesday, despite the concerns about his knee. It was a save opportunity up until like the 6th or 7th inning, and then they tacked on a few more runs, so Trevor McGill was not needed. Seiya Suzuki has now missed 3 straight with a right wrist issue. Brenton Doyle has missed 5 in a row with a sore left quad, and they did not place him on the IL. Lane Thomas has missed 6 straight with a bruised right wrist. George Springer has missed 2 in a row with a wrist injury as well. Andy Rodriguez placed in the IL with a right index finger laceration. Such a specific injury. Joey Bart is also banged up, which opens up some playing time here for Henry Davis. Griffin Canning was scratched from Wednesday's start due to an illness. And one other note on Tyler Soderstrom. Apparently,
this is interesting.
Could get reps at third base as a way to clear a spot for Nick Kurtz. And Brent Rooker also got his 2nd game in the outfield here on Tuesday. So stop what you're doing. Go make sure Nick Kurtz is not available in your league because you need to be stashing him. They are trying to find any way possible that they can get him up on the roster. I think we probably see him before the end of April, Chris.
At this point, I mean, there is a little bit of smoke here, mostly because there was the MLB.com story today that said that they are open to playing Brent Rooker more in the outfield. They are open to trying Tyler Soderstrom at third base entirely because they want to get Nick Kurtz in the lineup to find ways to get him in so that when they call him up, he just plays every day, either at first base or DH. When Rooker made his first appearance in the outfield, I think on Saturday, my initial thought was, this is about Nick Kurtz.
Yeah.
He's got 7 homers in his first 14 games at AAA. He only played 12 games in the minors last season, but he was the number 4 pick, huge power, big hitting ability. We have seen a lot of disappointing performances from first base only prospects in recent years. Andrew Vaughn and Spencer Torkelson were both supposed to be this caliber of prospect. So I don't want to say that Nick Kurtz can't miss because that's never true, but he is forcing his way into the conversation way earlier than I thought he would.
And I mean, to your point here, we were all excited about Matt Shaw coming into the season. He just got optioned. So I think the most likely thing, I know I was just hyping him up like stash him. I still think you should stash him.
Absolutely stash him. Yeah.
As Scott talks about prospects, like these are lottery tickets right now. And, just because the Matt Shaw doesn't work out doesn't mean the same thing will happen for Soderstrom. He can come up and hit the ground running. And everything he's done since being drafted is just hit at every level. So, and it's like every night at AAA, he's doing something else extraordinary. So.
And to put another point on that, you look at the most added players outside of the first couple of weeks of the season when Tyler Soderstrom and Ben Rice and Spencer Torkelson and even Kyron Paris, like when those guys really come kind of out of nowhere on the waiver wire, not out of nowhere, but you know what I mean. You look at the other most added players, Zach McKinstry, Wilmer Flores, Geraldo Perdomo, Nick Kurtz is one of the most added players on CBS. He's up to 56% rostered. Jorge Polanco, Sal Frelick, like some pretty uninspiring. Like once you really get into the season, the kind of guys we're talking about adding on waivers are usually retreads who are hot. And I'd much rather take a chance on actual upside with Nick Kurtz than Wilmer Flores,
Well, let's talk about some of those players, Chris. You just poo-pooed Geraldo Perdomo. Why don't we talk about him? He continues to impress 1 for 5 with his 3rd home run, 3 RBI. He is batting .321, 16 RBI early in the season, 2 steals, a .949 OPS. He's got 13 walks to 4 strikeouts, which is just insane.
Yep.
Lots of line drives, hitting the ball harder. I think the most likely thing is this doesn't continue. But if you need a shortstop or middle infield help right now, he is one of the hottest to start the season. And there's only, I say only, but 75% rostered. So still out there in some leagues.
It's one of these things where like he's hot.
Yes.
Right now. Perdomo has 1,500 career plate appearances at the major league level and a 670 OPS. So the likeliest outcome is Geraldo Perdomo is just the low 700s OPS bat he's been the previous couple of years. He doesn't hit for much power. He doesn't steal many bases either. And so he kind of needs a really high batting average. And we saw he made an all-star game, I think last year. And he had a really high batting average halfway through the season and then kind of fell apart. I think that's likelier to happen than not here. But yeah, I guess if you need someone right now, sure. Geraldo Perdomo.
Yeah.
I think it was 2023. He did make, I'm not making that up, right? He made an all-star game at some point.
That sounds right. But I don't know for certain off the top of my head. Geraldo Perdomo, yes, was an all-star in 2023.
There you go.
You are correct. 75% rostered. I mean, do we add him in a points league? Those are probably the only leagues where he's left.
Have there been any like big shortstop injuries that I'm not thinking of? I don't think so.
Well, Matt McClain is back now. So
Yeah, McClain's back now.
that helps.
I don't think he's really worth a look. And I mean, I know the plate discipline's been exceptional so far this year. So Geraldo Perdomo is probably.
Yeah, there actually have been CJ Abrams and
Abrams. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mason Wynn is kind of more like a middle infielder, but
okay.
Like if you lost those guys, sure. Like Perdomo obviously makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to go ahead and drop a struggling like Xander Bogaerts or something.
Yeah, like I'm not sitting Corey Seager or Carlos Correa. Like maybe you could sit Carlos Correa for him, but I'm not dropping Carlos Correa for Geraldo Perdomo.
Let's talk about Jonathan Aranda, although we did a lot yesterday. I mean, he had another nice game here, 2 for 3 with a walk and his third home run over his last 4 games. He's got 8 hits, 2 homers, 7 RBI. The batting average is now up to .413 for Jonathan Aranda. An early look at next week. Many things can change, but 6 games on the schedule, only 1 lefty as of now. So that does bode well. Jonathan Aranda, 50% rostered. Chris, would you rather add Aranda right now or stash Nick Kurtz?
Kind of depends on what league you're talking about, right? I think Aranda is unlikely to ever be a must-start player in a points league because I don't think he's going to play every day. Kurtz should play every day. And when you're talking about a points league, especially because it's a shallower format, you'd rather just bet on upside. So I do think Kurtz has more upside because of that.
All right. Any interest in Dylan Moore as a kind of utility player that you can bounce around? 3 for 5 with a double dong, 4 RBI. He's only started 2 of the past 4 games, but he led off here against the lefty. He's batting .306. He's got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed. OPS is over 1,000 early in the season. 34% rostered with second base, third base, shortstop, outfield eligibility. Any interest in Dylan Moore?
He actually had his lowest average exit velocity ever entering today. I assume it went up after hitting 2 home runs, but yeah, he is double or triple eligible. He's eligible in a bunch of places. So I could see in a deeper roto league, Dylan Moore having some utility just from the ability to put him anywhere in your lineup. But no, I don't think he's a particularly useful option outside of that.
Let's talk about a few deep league outfielders. I believe all of these names are 20% rostered or less. So we're talking, deep leagues, 5 outfielders, things like that. Nice debut for Austin Hayes with the Reds, 2 for 4 with his first home run. He was batting 5th in their lineup. Gavin Lux, 4 for 4 with a run and 2 RBI. Jake Myers, 3 for 4 with his 6th stolen base of the season. So he's got the green light early on here. Alan Roden launched his first career home run, and it came off of Spencer Schwellenbach. So how about that? 2 for 3 with his first home run and batting .277 with a .744 OPS. And Angel Martinez of the Guardians. He is racking up some hits early on here. 3 for 4 with a triple and his first steal. He's got 8 hits in his first 4 games with the Guardians and some okay numbers across the minor league levels for him. Chris, deep league outfielders here, but Angel Martinez, Alan Roden, Jake Myers, Gavin Lux, and Austin Hayes. Do you like any of those?
Lux, I have some interest in, and I know he hasn't been great so far this season, but I still think there's some upside there. But I think Austin Hayes is by far the most interesting here, and I think he's way under rostered at 17% because I do expect him to play a lot for the Reds. It's a great ballpark after he spent the previous 3 years or most of the previous 3 years in a pretty bad ballpark for a right-handed hitter. He still had 22 homers in 131 games back in 2021. But the other thing I want to point out here is Austin Hayes had a kidney infection last year, I think. He lost a bunch of weight. He wasn't healthy at all. It kind of went undiagnosed for a little while. And so I think that explains why he had a really poor season. But if you look at like his park adjusted stats from 2021 to 2023, 106, 107, 112 weighted runs created plus. He was a solidly above average hitter. And now he's playing in by far the best offensive environment of his career. So I think Austin Hayes is someone we could be talking about in a week or two as like 75% rostered kind of player.
Yeah, he's grossly undervalued right now. 17% roster for Austin Hayes. And it looks like he's in line for 6 road games next week. 3 of those coming in Coors Field. So,
that's helpful.
Yeah, definitely should be looking to add Austin Hayes in some of those 5 outfielder leagues right now.
Yeah. All right. You don't have him in the rundown. So I'll mention another deep league option who's worth considering. And you can call me a homer if you want. Griffin Conine. Did you know that Griffin Conine now has the hardest hit ball in the majors this season?
Did not know that.
He had 117.4 mile per hour double on Tuesday. It's the hardest hit ball of the season. And he only has a 25% strikeout rate so far. And the thing about Griffin Conine is he's like 70, maybe 80 grade raw power. He is a big dude who hits the ball really hard. It's just that he was running like 35, 38% strikeout rates a lot in AAA and in the high minors. If he's going to be a sub 30% raw strikeout rate guy, and I don't think he actually will. I think eventually he'll regress. But right now, he's showing more upside than I think I expected. So, Griffin Conine, worth a look in deeper leagues.
Yeah,
it's got to be like a 5 outfielder, 15 team league, but he's got a 344 expected WOBA.
When you drop that raw power grade, I went to Fangraphs real quick.
Yeah, they gave him an 80.
They have him at an 80 for a raw
No,
power.
he hits tanks.
That's.
You know, I think there might have been a PED suspension in there at some point in his minor league career. Whatever. Home runs still count. Yeah, he's got like multiple 30 homer seasons, I think. So the strikeout rate's always been too high, and I don't think the sub 30% strikeout rate is likely to sustain. But if it does, I think there's something more interesting than nothing there. Is that the best way to put it? Like, he could be a Jesus Sanchez type.
Yeah, and in a deeper 5 outfielder league, that
matters.
That could have some value. Let's take our final break. When we return, we'll quickly mention some other waiver wire pitchers, and we'll fire up the worryometer right after this.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. We already spoke about the top waiver wire pitcher. That is Tyler Mahle. We had some other names here, much less interesting, but they did pitch well. Eric Fedde, 6 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts against the Astros. Jake Irvin threw a gem at the Pirates, 7 shutout with 6 strikeouts. Logan Allen with a strong start at the Orioles, 5 2/3 shutout with 6 strikeouts. And Quinn Priester has looked good in each of his first 2 starts with the Brewers. He was home against the Tigers, where he threw 5 shutout with 4 strikeouts. Chris, do you have any interest in Quinn Priester, Logan Allen, Jake Irvin, or Eric Fedde?
I think Quinn Priester might be my most interesting of this group. And I don't think he's particularly interesting, but looks like he's going to be a 2-start pitcher next week. He's got a decent minor league track record. He had a velocity jump this spring as well. So I think he'll be someone that we can add in some head-to-head points leagues next week for the double dip. Not really like, Fedde is what he is, and he'll have stretches where he's pretty useful, but he's never. There's a whole class of pitcher. I think Fedde's in there. I think like Miles Michaelis and Merrill Kelly and guys like that, where like they'll have stretches where they're useful. I also think you'll almost never regret not having them. Did I say that right?
Yeah. I think you
Yeah.
just play the matchups with
Yeah.
like that. Like Merrill
Mhm.
Kelly had a great start against the Marlins, you know?
Yeah, the Marlins are bad, so that works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Although
like
Fetty had a great start here against the Astros,
yes,
and no one
they've
started.
been pretty bad, but yeah, but like Jake Irvin's kind of in that same role. And look, I'm not saying Quinn Priester's much better than that. I think the best case scenario is probably he just moves into that range, but at least there's a little bit of a mystery box element to him, but not much. No.
All right, Chris, let's fire up the first worryometer of the season. Now, I realize that you're probably going to have very low numbers on a lot of these players, but let's just quickly mention why they're struggling, whether or not you would buy low on a lot of these names. All of them, 8 hitters that I have here, all under a 525 OPS. So it's been a pretty rough go for each of them. And let's keep it moving, Chris. Alec Boehm is batting 162 with 0 homers, 2 extra base hits, and a 365 OPS. Where is he on the worryometer 1 to 10?
3, a 2. I think it'd be a 0 if not for how bad he was in the second half last season. But I think Alec, but like he's still hitting the ball really hard, still a solid skill set. I don't really have any concerns here.
Yeah, the ground ball rate is slightly elevated for him, but crushing the ball, he has a 204 BABIP. It's 314 for his career. So deeper league, I think you can absolutely buy low for Alec Boehm. On Alec Boehm, shallower league, I don't really think he's a difference maker, so you probably don't want to go after someone like that. But yeah, like a deeper roto league, I think that's fine. Marcus Semien, 117 batting average with 1 homer, 0 steals, a 365 OPS. This comes after a down season. He's 34 years old, so there was a little bit of concern coming in, Chris. Where you at on Semien 1 to 10 on the worryometer?
It could be the end. I'm open to the possibility that Marcus Semien's just done. He was so good for so long with very similar underlying numbers that I'm inclined to still give him the benefit of the doubt, but I understand if you're frustrated and you don't want to. I'm not dropping him. I would probably not be trying to trade him right now. So like I can't say it's a 0. It's probably like a 3 or a 4. Because he is older and because he is coming off that down season. That whole Rangers lineup hasn't really hit yet.
No.
I still think that's going to be one of the best lineups in baseball. So I'm not really too concerned there just because everyone is struggling on that lineup right now.
Let's talk about Yainer Diaz, who's batting 120 with 1 homer and a 370 OPS. Strikeout rate a little bit elevated. Batted ball stuff is kind of out of whack right now. Where you at on Yainer Diaz?
0. This is a clear 0 for me. Now, if you're talking about like his value relative to what you might have paid for him, because he was the number 2 catcher in a lot of leagues, there is some concern just because like assuming Christian Walker gets going and he's not just the new Jose Abreu, there are not going to be as many opportunities for Yainer Diaz to play as there were last year. And so, he just isn't likely to live up to what he did overall last season. But in terms of what he's going to do when he's on the field, I have 0 concerns about Yainer Diaz.
So he's a pretty clear buy low for you right now.
Absolutely.
Mark Vientos is hitting 145 with 0 homers and a 464 OPS. And I think we were all on board with Vientos as a bust this season. The weirdest part about this is that his plate discipline is actually much improved, yet he's still struggling. So where you at on Vientos?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that he's just being more passive because his zone swing rate is basically what it was last year. It's 2 points lower. His zone contact rate way up, his chase rate way down. So the swing decisions look better. It's just a question of is he sacrificing some bat speed and some power to make better swing decisions? You look into it and average bat speed was 71.8 miles per hour last season. It's down to 70.3. His fast swing rate down from 21% last year to 7% this season. So there could be something there. I don't, it's still too early to say. And
Do we have Robo Chris? Is that I don't know if it's you or me. I don't know what's going on here.
I think it's me. Uh-oh. We don't have a third person.
Yeah, we
Do I
can't
sound okay? Is it better?
Yeah, keep going. I think it actually might be me, but keep going for now.
All right.
We're talking about Vientos.
Yeah, Mark Vientos. There could be something to him slowing his swing down intentionally. The bat speed is a little slower. That's probably not a trade-off that you want to make. But what I want to say, what I was saying with Mark Vientos, got to get the train of thought back on the tracks here, is I expect him to be a streaky hitter. And we haven't seen a hot streak yet. So I don't want to judge him until we see what I think will inevitably be a hot streak from him.
All right. Yeah, I'm watching it back on. I don't know. It looks like both of us were just lagging at the same time, so I don't really know exactly.
Could be a StreamYard problem.
It might be. Luis Robert is batting 154 with 1 homer, 6 steals, and a 481 OPS. His plate discipline actually looks a little bit improved here. The quality of contact is very bad early on. Where are you at 1 to 10 on Luis Robert?
I'm inclined to say a 1 or a 2, except that he was so terrible last season that I can't say that. Maybe he's just not as good as he was in 2023. And maybe the fact that he's still stuck on an absolutely miserable team is still affecting him. We have no idea. I'm inclined to not be too concerned, but he was pretty awful last year. So yeah, it's not a 0.
What about Jake Berger? He's hitting 151, 2 homers, 1 walk to 15 strikeouts with a 484 OPS. His quality of contact down. He really didn't wake up until late June of last season as well. And we know this is kind of part of who Jake Berger is. Where is he on the worryometer right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the problem with a player like Jake Berger, who is, I think it would be, he's a one-trick pony, right? And he does nothing but hit home runs. And when he's not locked in a groove, he's going to look pretty bad because he just has nothing to fall back on. There's no other skill set here besides hitting bombs. I think he'll be fine. He had a 607 OPS in April last year, a 501 in May, and a 632 in June, and then went on to have 900 OPSs in July and August. So I'm sitting Jake Berger. I'm not dropping him.
What about Christian Walker? 164 with 1 homer and a 512 OPS, and he really didn't have a spring training because of that oblique injury. He's also 34 years old. I hope this is not Jose Abreu all over again, because I do have a few shares of Christian Walker myself. Where is he on the worryometer?
Very low. I would say a 1, and that's only a 1 because of the age. He is still hitting the ball really well. Barrel rate is high. Average exit velocity is high. Max exit velo, 113 miles per hour. It's mostly coming down to the plate discipline, 29% strikeout rate. That's not going to work, but I would bet that gets down to 25% before long, and he looks more or less like what we've always thought of Christian Walker as, especially when you look at the plate discipline. The chase rate's up 5 points. That's not ideal, but it's not so alarming. The zone contact rate, it's down a couple of points, but it's kind of just the wrong direction in everything a little bit, but not in a huge way.
And last name here is one we mentioned already, but Tristan Casas hitting 180 with 1 homer and a 521 OPS. He still is hitting a lot of line drives. The quality of contact is way down so far this season. He was also dropped down to 7th in the Red Sox lineup. What worries me a little bit about this is that if the struggles continue, do they move Devers to first base, open up a spot for Roman Anthony, something like that? It's not impossible. So where is Tristan Casas on the worryometer?
I would say like a 3 or 4. So one of the higher ones here, just because we saw that strikeout rate go back up last year. And this was even before the rib injury. You can't necessarily blame that one on the rib injury. He's up to a 29% strikeout rate right now. He's not hitting the ball hard. He's not hitting for power the way we think he will. I think that'll come. But if he is like a 29 to 30% strikeout rate guy, then it kind of doesn't matter how hard he hits the ball because the batting average is going to be really bad. And, it's still, I think, an open question whether he can hit lefties. His only home run so far this season did come off a lefty, but, there have been some issues there. It's a tough home park for left-handed power hitters. So, yeah, I still believe in Tristan Casas' talent, but it's not with a huge degree of certainty anymore.
All right. So again, all those hitters that we just mentioned, Casas, Christian Walker, Jake Berger, Luis Robert, Mark Vientos, Yainer Diaz, Marcus Semien, Alec Bohm. You're not dropping any of them. And are you looking to buy low on all of them? Or is there one or two that maybe, you actively would not be looking to buy low on?
So like for me, whoever drafted Jake Berger liked Jake Berger a lot more than I did. I had him ranked around 140th coming into the season. He ended up, his ADP the final few weeks was like close to 100.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a bad idea in part because of what we're seeing right now. There's no value there unless he's homering a ton. So like, I'm not inclined to buy low unless it's really low for Jake Berger, but like, I don't know you wouldn't give up Tyler Soderstrom for Jake Berger, right?
No.
What about Torkelson? I think I would do that.
Yeah. Like I still have Jake Berger ranked higher than Torkelson. But I don't know. Like 2 years ago, Torkelson hit over 30 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we want Jake Berger to do. So
absolutely.
It kind of feels like a wash. I don't know. I don't think I would. Like either way, like if I had Torkelson and someone offered me Berger, I don't think I would do that trade and vice versa. I would probably just keep whoever's on my team. So.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I know a lot of people want to hear about struggling hitters, and there are a lot other ones, but we'll have more time over the next couple of days and weeks to talk about all of those players. Let's move back over to pitchers here, Chris, and not exactly sure what to make of these four. So I wanted to ask you, maybe you know what's going on with these guys. Walker Buehler, solid outing at the Rays, 5 innings, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, but the whiffs are just not there. Kevin Gausman, another quality start, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 14 whiffs. A lot of those on the fastball once again. Kind of a confusing pitcher so far. Bailey Ober, 6 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 homers allowed against the Mets. Overall, an okay start, a quality start here. Something just feels off. I don't know. The vibes are kind of weird with Bailey Ober right now. And Jeffrey Springs, who had that great first start against the Mariners, and then has just been pretty mid in his next 3 starts. He was at the White Sox, so I was expecting a good start here, and it was just okay for Jeffrey Springs. So what do you make of these 4 pitchers right now? They seem confusing, at least to me.
All right, let's take them one at a time. I think Walker Buehler's just a guy at this point. I really don't think there's anything to get excited about. I think he's just a junk baller. Like he's throwing like 6 or 7 different pitches, but I don't know if any of them are any good. He got like 4 whiffs, 3 whiffs in this game. I think it was worth drafting Walker Buehler, and I did in one league. I got him for like $2 or $3. It was worth just to see if that little bit of upside he hinted at the end of the postseason could turn into something sustainable, but it hasn't. So I'm fully on board with dropping Walker Buehler for Tyler Mahle or frankly, any pitcher who has like a 15 whiff game. Just like anyone with a hint of upside, because I don't think Walker Buehler has any. I am leaning that direction with Jeffrey Springs as well. I think he's just a one-pitch pitcher, and if his changeup is not absolutely dominant, I think he's going to be pretty mediocre. That's what we've seen so far this season. So I'm leaning towards Jeffrey Springs being pretty expendable. Gausman, I think he's a sell high. I know the splitter was better, 5 whiffs, 29% whiff rate. Best it's looked of the season, but still Not the same movement profile, not the same results. Even the best it's been to that this season was still much worse than last year, let alone when Kevin Gausman was an ace. So I'll take the last two starts and try to build and build a trade offer around Kevin Gausman where I get a pitcher I feel a little better about, because I don't really believe in him. And then Bailey Ober, I agree. Things just seem a little off. His changeup remains really, really good. I'm not sure about the rest of it, especially with the velocity down. I think he'll probably be fine. I think the whip especially should be pretty good. I do think he might be more like a 4 ERA pitcher the rest of the way, though. So I'm a little concerned about Bailey Ober just in terms of living up to expectations.
Yeah, the walks and hard contact both up for Bailey Ober so far. The walks, I think you expect to come down, but, pitching with lower velocity, fly ball pitcher, and he might give up a lot of hard contact. It might just, that might be a thing for Bailey Ober this season. And his pitches thrown so far in 4 starts, 77, 84, 73, 77. It's just
Rocco Baldelli is not letting anyone go deep into games, except I guess Joe Ryan did throw 101 pitches yesterday. He just only got through 5 innings with them, but he's had a quick hook with basically everyone.
Yeah, like even last year, Ober, he was much more efficient, but he still averaged 87 pitches per start. Yeah. He's barely getting to 80 pitches right now, so it's just it's hard to have that much value in fantasy. Here he got the quality start. He was pretty efficient, but I don't know. Yeah, it's been a little bit weird here for Bailey Ober so far this season. We had some rough outings from pitchers that are expected to be pretty good. Luis Castillo, a rough homecoming in Cincinnati, 4 1/3 innings, 6 runs, 4 walks to 3 strikeouts. Nick Lodolo had his first rough outing of the season, 4 2/3, 4 runs allowed. Did have 6 strikeouts in this one, but gave up 2 homers. Spencer Schwellenbach, he's human after all. 4 2/3, 6 runs allowed, 2 homers allowed. And Ryan Pepio got hit hard by the Red Sox, 6 innings, 6 runs. Did have 8 strikeouts and 17 whiffs, but man, 12 hard hits in this game. Just got clobbered by the Red Sox. Chris, any thoughts here on good pitchers who got rocked? Pepio, Schwellenbach, Lodolo, and Luis Castillo.
Yeah, I mean, Pepio, we're seeing a little bit of the concern that we had coming in, right? 6 homers allowed in his last 3 starts. The previous 2 starts, I think they had all been 1-run homers. And in this one, they were not. And he got rocked as a result of it. I don't know, man. His fastball especially has not been nearly as effective as it was last season. I'm not sure, like, the velocity is fine, but one thing we talked about is Tropicana Field has this, I'm not sure what it is, I haven't seen a good explanation for why Tropicana Field has this effect, but pitches move differently at Tropicana Field than they do any other park in baseball. And specifically, fastballs rise more at Tropicana Field than they do anywhere else. And Ryan Pepio's fastball was his best pitch last year. It was one of the best pitches in baseball. He had like a 31% whiff rate. I think it was the second highest among all starting pitchers behind Garrett Crochet. And it's like 17% this season. It's getting crushed. So that's a concern that he just can't be that same guy pitching in a worse environment. I will also point out Luis Castillo, first start away from Seattle this year, and he's pretty bad. That's a concern because this is a guy who also has relied heavily on his 4-seamer in recent years for his whiffs. He's been like a 30% whiff rate guy at his best with his 4-seamer. And he keeps losing just a little bit of velocity down to 94.6. It's down about a half mile per hour, a little more than that from last year. And that changeup, like he used to have this elite changeup and it just isn't, he hasn't been turning to it. It isn't as effective as it used to be. So I think Castillo's fine, but maybe it's more like he's the 40th best starting pitcher in fantasy rather than a top 20 guy he used to be. And then I have no concerns about Spencer Schwellenbach. I guess it's a little bit notable that he's really only had strikeouts against the Marlins. He had 10 and 8 innings, but I think I had the number earlier. Like it's like 12 and 16 and 2/3 otherwise. So that's not great, but I don't think there's anything there. He averaged 97 miles per hour with his fastball in this one. So I do want to highlight Nick Lodolo, though. He's getting about a half foot less horizontal break on his curveball, and this has been consistent all season long. His curveball has not been the same swing and miss pitch for him this season. It was pretty good today, 33% whiff rate. That was only 4 whiffs on 12 swings. But my theory is that the reason the curveball hasn't been as effective is because he's not getting as much sweep on it. His curveball has kind of been more of a sweeper throughout his career, and this year it's getting a lot less sweep. And I don't know if I trust Nick Lodolo to be a good fantasy option without a killer curveball. And right now he doesn't have that. So I kind of think Nick Lodolo is one of the more obvious sell high candidates right now.
And his velocity has been down so far too. Last season, it was 94.2 miles per hour on the fastball for Nick Lodolo. Entering this start, it was 93.1. And then in this start, it was 92.7. So that's down 1.5 miles per hour from where he was last season. And that's pretty notable. So, I think I probably would agree with selling high on Lodolo. He also has an extensive injury history too. So I do think that makes some sense. Want to mention some hitters who are off to nice starts and had some big games here. Corbin Carroll, Stephen Kwan, the power there for Kwan early on. He's already got 3 home runs. Cedric Mullins, Pete Alonso, and Austin Riley. Any thoughts on those 5, Chris? They're all off to good starts this season.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll is swinging harder this year than he has in the past.
His quality of contact is insane early on.
Yeah, I'm looking. There was a piece on MLB.com 2-3 days ago where his average swing speed was 73.2 miles per hour, 73.7 the last 2 seasons, 75.2 so far this season. That's a pretty big jump. So yeah, that the power could be legit for Corbin Carroll. I don't think he's like a 35 or 40 home run guy, but we talked about it last week, 25 to 30. That seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think pushing closer to 30. I don't really have anything else to say on any of these guys.
All right. Hitters who are kind of off to slow starts and had good games. JT Realmuto hit his first home run. He's only got a 694 OPS early on. Jarren Duran, 1 for 3 with a sock and a shoe. He has a 640 OPS. Anthony Santander hit his second home run. He's only at 629 for the OPS. And Juan Soto, back-to-back days with a home run. We're not worried about Juan Soto, but he is off to a slow start for his standards, at least based on the good start he got off to last year with the Yankees. I didn't think any of these warranted being in the worryometer because they haven't been that bad, but any concerns at all?
No, if anything, the fact that JT Realmuto is running 4 stolen bases in the early going, that seems like a good sign because, he was always a pretty good hitter who then added, 10 to 20 stolen bases to kind of push him up. But he was never like the standout hitter at the catcher position. It was always the overall impact. And the fact that we can seemingly count on him to steal bases this season makes me feel pretty good about him. Everyone else, I zero thoughts about Jarren Duran, Anthony Santander, Juan Soto. I think this is just very, very normal variance for all of these guys.
All right, some quick pitching leftovers. Max Fried is 3-0 to begin his Yankees career, turned in a quality start against the Royals. Hunter Brown is now 4 for 4 in quality starts this season. Yusei Kikuchi, a strong start at the Rangers, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts there. And Merrill Kelly looked very good at the Marlins, 6 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. I did want to specifically ask you about Kikuchi because I know you mentioned the arm angle being down in his last start. What did you see here from Kikuchi?
So that's one of those things I don't know how to search or find on a per start basis. I can only look. They have it for the season, and for the season, his arm angle was 42 degrees last year. It's dropped to 33 degrees so far this season. So that's one of those things that's neither good nor bad, right? Like it's arm slot is not necessarily it's like, that's the stuff we were talking about early in the season with like the batting stance tracking that they have now, where it's like, it's not good or bad that a player moved up or back or whatever in the box. It's not a good or bad thing that a player dropped their arm slot unless it's a sign of injury. I don't necessarily think it's a sign of injury with Kikuchi, but his velocity is down. So that's not great.
I also wanted to just mention with Jesus Luzardo, who was a little bit more pedestrian here. He still had 15 whiffs, only 4 strikeouts against the Giants. But the fastball velocity, 95.8. And that's the first time he was below 96 this season. And he wasn't as effective. So just something to watch, the velocity there on Jesus Luzardo. The call to the bullpen for the Nationals. Kyle Finnegan struck out 2 for his 6th save. For the Phillies, Jose Alvarado got the 8th inning with a 3-run lead facing the top of the Giants lineup. He gave up 1 run on 3 hits. It was Matt Strom who got the 9th inning. He struck out 1 for his first save of the season. Orion Kerkering worked in the 6th and Jordan Romano in the 7th. So that's why they were not used for the save. For the Guardians, Emmanuel Clase gave up a hit but struck out 1 for his 2nd save. For the Red Sox, Aroldis Chapman got the final out of the game for his 4th save. For the Yankees, Devin Williams picked up his 3rd save. For the Twins, Yohan Duran finally on the board, picked up his 1st save. And for the Astros, Josh Hader struck out 1 for his 4th save of the season. To stream or not to stream on Wednesday, we did lose Griffin Canning. He is out with an illness, but we still have Festa against the Mets. Reese Olson, no, he is now pitching on Thursday, so we lost him too. Jose Quintana up against the Tigers. Matthew Boyd at the Padres. Mitchell Parker at the Pirates. Nick Martinez facing the Mariners. And Osvaldo Bido at the White Sox. Also Bobby Miller, if you want to take that chance.
Yeah, I don't really love any of these options. Matthew Boyd, probably the most interesting one, but the Padres just don't strike out very much, so I could see that one being a little disappointing. Yeah, don't love the Wednesday options.
Yeah, I think I would go with Boyd.
To be clear, I think Clark Schmidt is worth rostering. I just not as a streamer. I would actually rather sit him, even though I think it's worth adding him.
Yeah, like Festa's interesting, but against the Mets, I'd rather not do that. He's probably gonna get a quick hook.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. I think Boyd, Jose Quintana, and Bido at the White Sox.
Yeah, I guess.
Mitchell Parker at the Pirates wouldn't surprise me if he has a good start as well. And then on Thursday, we have Eduardo Rodriguez at the Marlins. Andrew Heaney is facing the Nationals. JP Sears at the White Sox. Tomoyuki Sugano facing the Guardians. And Reese Olson home against the Royals. I wanted to say Chiefs so bad. I don't know why.
Eduardo Rodriguez, I think, is by far the best option here at Miami. It's a great matchup. He's looked good so far. And then Sears at the White Sox, I think, is probably second. I don't really have a lot of interest in the other guys. Reese Olson, I like the talent. And I don't hate using him versus Kansas City. It's not a great matchup, but it's not a terrible one either.
I know that their lineup is, I think off to a pretty slow start.
Yes. Yeah, they have not been great so far.
They are dead last in WOBA against right-handed pitching so far.
There you go. So, yeah, maybe Reese Olson keeps that going. But, yeah, I think Eduardo Rodriguez is by far the top option here.
All right, we're going to wrap there. For Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.